that wine goes beyond the stereotypical just social aspect of it, but can also be very much a component of your wellness. We use the word unwind all the time, but there really is something to it.
Being
Yes.
wrong, be transparent about it. Don't defend yourself. No, yeah, I made a mistake. I thought that was the best thing to do, but it was not the best thing to do.
Right.
Welcome to the Black and Green podcast. It's your go-to place to find the latest high-quality, all-natural products created by Black artisans. Hosted by yours truly, Dr. Kristen H., the founder of Black and Green. We'll discuss all things health, wellness, self-care, and of course, self-love. This podcast features a refreshing lineup of guests, from entrepreneurs and artisans to holistic lifestylists and clean beauty experts, and a plethora of other innovators within the wellness industry. Join me as we learn from the best of the best.
Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am Jon'll Boyd, and I'm co-owner and winemaker or wine whisperer to some people for for Boyd Crew Wines.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, guys, let me tell you, we met when I was doing a pop up pitch and I saw her pitching, talking about the wines. Like, oh my gosh, I have to have her on my podcast. I want her to tell us about her story. So, please tell us what made you get into the wine world and how can wine, the part that really touched me, how can wine be a part of wellness?
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll start with the first question, which is just how did I get into wine? Let me take you back a bit. So me and my husband, we own the company together, and it really started out as a dream of ours. 15 years ago, we've always enjoyed wine. It's always been a big part of who we are, in terms of just the enjoyment of discovering different wines, different regions. You can try a wine in one region, like, Virginia, and then try the same varietal in a region like California, and it be completely different, right? So, just the nuances of that really attracted us to wine. And then also how it really is the centerpiece for bringing people together. We both, without even knowledge of it, we both have recollections of when we were younger, different family members. His was his grandfather, mine was my grandmother, actually, using wine as a way to strike up conversations, to story tell, to his grandfather would give it as gifts for Christmas to his siblings. My grandmother would have it at the dinner table where we would sit around and talk for hours and hours. So it just became this communal thing that we both learned to appreciate and kind of carried it forward with us into our relationship and our family and our friends. And so as we kind of, have ventured on, we started having pillow talk about, what if one day we opened our own winery, which sounded absolutely crazy and absurd. Like, where do you even do that? How do you do that? But as we continue to have the conversations and we started researching, looking at the landscape of the wine industry and how we really wanted to see some change, right? For those that don't know, the wine industry has been lacking a lot of diversity. There's less than 1% of African Americans who actually own anything in the industry, and there's less than 3% of females who actually are winemakers in the industry as well. So we just saw a very, very traditional industry that needed a little shaking up. And as we looked in our own backyard in Maryland, we said, well, how do we do this? Because it looks like it's something that we could bring to Maryland that would be different, but also just bring out our community, bring our community along with us. And so during the pandemic, that just seemed like the opportune time to do it. We said, hey, people are isolated, they're at home, they're not able to be around one another, and there was so much loss that was going on, and we wanted to approach wine in a way that it brought back that connection, that joy, that vibrancy. And it was very intentional from thinking through the fact that we wanted to make our own wine, thinking through the branding, the packaging, the colors, tying art into it, and
Mm,
so, and even the wellness component of how do we share with people that wine goes beyond the stereotypical just social aspect of it, but can also be very much a component of your wellness. We use the word unwind all the time, but there really is something to it.
mm. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
I wonder how, if you have heard, is the wine space not being for Black people? And how are you trying to change that narrative that it has to be, it's a white space, it's a white
Yeah,
man thing.
yeah,
Black folks can't migrate into that. And
yeah.
in some ways, it makes some folks, some Black folks, hesitant to
Intimidated,
try
sure.
or to migrate into that. So, kind of,
Yeah.
what is your thoughts around that, and kind of how do you help folks navigate that?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing is just showing up as us. Like, people have come to what I have realized is that over this year, because we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary. So I know, woo woo. So over this year, what I have realized is that it's like the old saying goes, representation matters. And when you see somebody that looks like you, but also that you can relate to in this space that you traditionally haven't seen, then it allows you to feel valued and to feel like, well, wait a minute, this is for me. This is something that I can enjoy. This is something that I can learn about. We're very, very intentional about the fact that we tell people we're here to help you discover wine, not to tell you what
Mm,
what to drink and what to like. We want you to discover it because it is a discovery process.
mhm,
It
mhm,
is very self reflective of your
mhm,
palate, what you enjoy, what your taste buds desire. And we're here to guide you, right? Because every process needs a good guide to
yes.
help them along the way, right? So that they know they're on the right track. But that guide doesn't necessarily tell you exactly how to do it. They're just guiding you along the way to make sure, okay, if you have questions, I'm here. If you
Okay.
want to know more about a certain part, then I'm here. And so that's what we do. And I think that is why our community has really grabbed a hold of what we're doing and has just showed up and supported us in unimaginable
Mm,
ways.
yes, yes. It reminds me of yoga. My favorite yoga teacher always says, I'm here to make suggestions. I'm here to
Yes.
kind of guide you, but you know your body better and you can make adjustments to do what you need to do.
That's right. That's right. You
Yeah.
can make the adjustments and you know your palate, like, scientifically. And so my husband is he by trade, he is a pharmacist. And so by trade, he always talks about just the science part of it, which is your taste buds are uniquely designed to you.
Mhm.
So even women, we have more of a savory, our taste buds lend themselves to being more savory in nature sometimes versus, males. And so that shows you right there that you're not gonna taste the same things that I do, and that's okay. But understanding that is where we're guiding you on helping you to understand what that is for you.
Oh, I love it. And something you keep saying is we. So you talked about how your husband started this as a kind of a
Yeah.
pillow talk. But tell me about that. What is it like starting a business with your husband? What have been the ebbs and the flows? How has that felt?
Yeah, so listen, it's it's a roller coaster ride, right? I mean, there's always gonna be the nuances and the dynamics of being in relationship as two married people, right? As a couple that is married versus being business owners of something.
Mhm.
I think the one thing that I will say is that we've learned very quickly that it's it's okay to appreciate each other's differences, and what that helps us do is acknowledge that you're really good in this area and
Mhm.
I'm really good in this area. So I'm more of the, creative person. I'm the one who's out in front and center, as you can see. I'm the one driving kind of the customer experience, but he is more of in the background, and he appreciates that because he's definitely um more realistic and looking and pragmatic and looking at what do we need to do now versus later. Where do we need to be focused, and what are going to be the results of this. I can kind of get pie in the sky sometimes, and sometimes I need somebody like him to bring me back down and say, okay, that's
Mhm.
great, like, yes, we're going to get there, but let's focus right here for right now, right? And so, yeah, that's important, and then he also appreciates the fact that I am that visionary, that I can see further out, because obviously you do need somebody who can carry the vision, who knows what that looks like, so that you know where you're headed as well. So I think we've come to appreciate each other's differences and know that those differences both bring something to the table. And then communication is huge, and we also have learned how to respect the fact that, what, there are times when it's family time,
Yeah.
and that communication is going to be on the, surrounding family. We've
Mhm.
got two boys, so we want to make sure that we honor our boundaries with
Mhm.
communicating, as a family when it's family
Yeah.
time versus communicating about business when it's business
Business
time.
time. There's a couple of things I'm hearing here. One thing I heard is the self-awareness. It
Yeah.
seems a tons of self-awareness was needed for you to know what you're good at and for him to know what he's good at. And then communication to make sure that you guys are meeting in the middle there. Do
Yeah.
you have any tips of those who are trying to in, in, be better, be more self-aware? How did you get so self-aware? Like where did that come from?
Well, first off, and this is being 100% real, it came through making a whole lot of mistakes. You
Yes.
that's
So
where it
look,
comes
let's
from.
celebrate mistakes, okay? We all make them.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think we need to hear that and understand that a lot more, because I know that the vulnerability around sharing your mistakes can be hard. It can be challenging, because we like the feeling of knowing what we're doing and always being on the up and up. But
Yep.
I think there's a lot of learning to be done in making the mistakes and understanding, okay, well, what do I need to learn from this? Where did this fall short? And
Yes.
know that it doesn't mean that we're a failure. Like, there's nothing wrong with us. It's just the means of how do I correct that particular
Mhm.
circumstance or that particular habit, right? And so I think a lot of the self-awareness comes from, hey, we saw things that weren't working, and said, okay, let's not attack each other. Let's focus on
Mm,
what is the thing that
yes.
needs to be
Yes.
corrected.
Yes. Ooh, I feel like that's a moment. Let's not attack each other.
Yeah.
I
Now,
think
does it always happen that way?
intent and reality are two separate
It's
things.
two separate things. That's right. That's right.
But I just think let's try to not attack
Right.
each other
Right.
because at the end of the day, that's not what created it.
And we're on the same team. You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
we got to remind each other that hey, we're on the same team. We're batting for the same team. We're both trying to make the home run. You know what I mean? So like, let's remember that, and hopefully that will bring us back to center
Mhm.
of okay, what is this? You know, did I not communicate something the way that I should have? What was the reality versus the perception?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
That's always really important.
That is so important. Let's talk through communication because I feel like
Yeah.
that word is often thrown out. Communication, communication,
Mm,
communication. I
yeah.
don't know if people actually know what communication is. So define communication to me and what have been ways that you've been using checking to ensure that you're communicating accurately and correctly and at the right time.
Yeah. Oh gosh. You know, our calendar is a big thing.
Mhm.
We have a business calendar, then we have a family calendar. I mean, we have a calendar on our refrigerator that is for the family, like our boys can see it, we both can see it. And, you know, I put everything on there. But then I have a business calendar, and that's more dedicated to what's going on in the business. You know, I will copy my husband to make him aware so that way we're communicating because we've got all these schedules going at the same time. The boys have a schedule, business has a schedule, our personal lives have a schedule, my husband has a schedule because you know despite what most may think, he still works his 9 to 5, you know. So so he even has his schedule within his 9 to 5 work that he has to manage, right, in addition to the business calendar. So so our calendar helps us a lot. It gets us in a position to say, "Hey, did you see that?" You know, "Hey, I meant to, you know, I just want to make sure I put that on the calendar, but I just want to make sure you saw it." And it gets us communicating about what we've done on, you know, what we've done on the
Yeah.
calendar so
Yeah.
that if there is something that maybe has been miscommunicated or maybe,
Mhm.
you know, double
Mhm.
booked or whatever, then we've got an opportunity to address it, you
Yes.
know, right
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's a big tool for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know I love my calendar. I bought a calendar to put right in front of in my when you walk into my garage, it's the big calendar right there to make sure we're all on the same page.
Exactly, exactly. I think the other tool though is transparency. And you know, what I mean by that is sometimes you know, we don't communicate our true feelings about things for worry of disappointing, you know, the other person or worry of, you know, maybe they're not going to take this well or you know, I don't want to let anybody down. And I think one of the places that we, you know, we're working on
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I think have already made some strides is understanding that there has to be transparency
Yeah.
in
Yes.
hey, I'm not up to it right now. I think what a lot of people have to understand and what we've come to understand is taking this on has impacted our family in ways that I don't even think we really understood coming into this, you know. The thought process, of course, was that starting this from the ground up gives us the ability to allow our family dynamics, our family life to still be able to
Mhm.
thrive
Mhm.
without it's suffering from being so inundated with, you know, growing a business.
Yes. Yes.
There's still a part of that though that those two things are going to bump heads every now and then because they're that's just the way life works, right? So when we see that, hey, we've got a lot going on right now. The kids have a lot going on. Business is really hopping right now.
Yes.
And we still have to take care of ourselves as far
Mhm.
as the
Yes.
self-care, the emotional support, the downtime, needing to rest. Then we have to be honest about that and say, I know this is something you want to do, but I'm just not there right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so what does that mean? Does that mean, hey, you go ahead and take and spearhead that and take that on because I need to pause for a minute, right? Or sometimes it's just saying not right now to whatever the thing is, right? It
mhm,
doesn't mean that it's a complete no, but it
yep,
does mean that it's not something we have the capacity for right at that moment.
yes, yes, and understanding and acknowledging not having the capacity for something does not make you weak.
Right.
That does not make you
Absolutely.
less than.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it
Absolutely.
makes you stronger if you can acknowledge it
That's
and
right.
and communicate with all those around you that you are just not at the capacity to do that
That's
at that
right.
moment.
That is
And so
so
I think
true.
that I wanna be a part of kind of retooling the way that we engage with saying no,
Yeah.
the way we engage with being wrong, the way we
Yes.
engage with making mistakes,
Yes.
lean into mistakes, lean into
Yes.
being wrong, be transparent about it. Don't defend yourself. No, yeah, I made a mistake. I thought that was the best thing to do, but it was not the best thing to do.
Right.
And now I can learn from it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. It you actually feel a sense of freedom
Yes,
and, authenticity when you do operate from that space.
yes.
And the other person, while maybe not always in the moment, right? Because sometimes people have a hard time hearing no, but if they truly value the fact that you are trying to preserve yourself so
Mhm.
that you can operate from the best place,
Yes,
they
yes,
will understand. Like they will support, that's what I should say. They will support your
yes,
decision.
yes, 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 yes. We're gonna pause for meditation.
Yeah.
So, wherever you are right now, just take a moment to be. Be in your awareness, be in your truth, be in your wholeness. Allow yourself to show up as light, dark, and every shade of gray in between. Feeling your presence, experiencing your truth, finding your breath, and instead of directing her, listen to her. Ask her where she wants to spend more time and spend more time there. Ask her where she's stuck and go into the experience of why. Be in this breath, be in this movement, and continue to cultivate this experience through the rest of your day. Honoring that your truth and whatever you show up as is always enough. You are perfection and excellence personified. Anything that tells you that you're anything else no longer serves you.
Wow. Well, that was right on time.
Wasn't it? It always is. It always is. So tell me about your self-care practice. How are you taking care of yourself?
Well, my self care practice has been a journey, and I think this is a great segue into it because part of what led me specifically to kind of wine
Mhm,
was
mhm,
during the pandemic, needing a reset, needing
mhm,
to figure out how to pull myself out of this burnout
mhm,
status that I was going through. I this is my second life as an entrepreneur. So prior to this, I actually owned an event planning firm for 13 years, and at the
mhm.
height of our business, we were doing like 150 events a year. Like it was insane.
Oof,
Um, and I had a team and they were wonderful, but when you are leading the efforts especially as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of weight that you're carrying. In addition to, at that same time, the dynamics of my family life was
Mhm.
shifting. I was going from being single with no husband, no kids, to having a husband and birthing two kids. And so
Life changes real quick when that
it
happens.
changes real quick. And if you don't make the shift mentally,
Ooh.
then you will find yourself hitting a wall very fast. And that is what happened with me. And it just so happened that it coincided with when the pandemic hit. And I can remember one day just waking up in my bed and I just started crying profusely because I had kind of painted this picture, but nowhere in that picture could I find myself. And it set me on a path to rediscovering
Mhm.
myself and my joy
Mhm.
because I just felt empty on the
Mhm.
inside.
Mhm.
Even though on the outside you would have never known. I looked fulfilled, I looked all the things, but
Mhm.
the inside just wasn't matching. And so I
Mhm.
can remember very clearly. I'm very very much faith based, but I can remember Holy Spirit saying, "Go outside," and I went outside, hopped in my car, and ended up at a vineyard that was like 30 to 40 minutes away from where we lived. And I went outside to this vineyard and literally laid down in the middle of the grass and just looked up at the sky and was doing stretches, just different stretches, really
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
breathing, inhaling the
Mhm.
air, breathing through my own like pulse, and things like that. And that is what sparked this self-care journey. Like, that is when I
Mhm.
knew, "Girlfriend, you've got to find a way to put you in this picture, and even more so, you've got to hold space for yourself. There's
Yes.
no way that you are going to continue to be what you need to be, like, evolve into who you need to be if you don't start here
Yes.
first."
Yes. So give us tips for
Yeah,
any women who are watching or listening to us. When you felt yourself lost, what did you do to help you find yourself again?
yeah. So first and foremost, and this was probably the hardest thing ever, which is to get still. It was to get
Mm.
still because what I learned is that the more you're busy, the more you are moving and doing and going
Mhm,
here and
mhm,
there, you have 0 time to really understand what's going on with you. Like, you have 0 time to really get still and focus and say, "Well, what is it that I want or need right now?"
mhm,
Because you're distracted by
mhm,
everything else around you that you're doing, where you're going. Like, I started asking myself, like, "Why do you feel the need to be at all these things all the time? Like, why do you feel the need to say yes to everything?" Like,
yes,
asking
yes,
yourself these questions, digging deeper so that you can truly, get to the root of where you are and why you're feeling like this, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
that was the first thing. I just had to get still. And sometimes that requires us to let things go. That requires us to start weeding away some of
mhm,
the
mhm,
responsibilities or the things we think are our responsibility, but
mhm.
really nobody asked you to do it.
Nobody
You
told you to do it. You did it on yourself.
Nobody, okay? Like, literally nobody. And sometimes, to be quite frank, it also includes people, that you've got to release some of the people who maybe just don't mean you well anymore or aren't in a
Yes,
capacity to give to you
yes,
where
yes,
you are
yes,
trying to go or trying to be,
yes.
Um, and so that's where I had to start there.
Mhm,
And then from there, it was getting clear on what I want. You
Mm,
know, I had to ask myself, what do you want? And it's crazy, but at 43, well now 43 at that point when I had first started, started the self-care journey, I was 40. But at 40 years old, I had not asked myself what I wanted,
ooh,
what I truly wanted, probably since I was like in college or high school maybe, you
mhm,
know?
mhm. And what's crazy is when you ask yourself what you want, you figure out what it is, you say what you want, that becomes a reality. Your thoughts are in so much control of what you create.
That's right. Absolutely. It's where it starts. It's everything starts. Um you start with what you want in the mind.
Yes.
Your success, what you envision, everything, your dreams, everything starts in the mind. So it had to, you have to start there. And then it was okay, getting into the habit of that. Because let me be clear, just because you decide this is what I want, it doesn't show up tomorrow. It don't work that way. We wish it did, right? Like a genie in the bottle. We wish it did, but that's not how it works. No, you have.
Honestly, we probably don't, because sometimes we think we know what we want, but once you get like, "Oh, I ain't really want that. Ooh, never
Right,
mind." So we
right,
need some process.
right. You saw somebody else who had it and said, "Oh, I want that." No, you don't.
No, I don't like that. Oh, you mean when I have a husband, I have to compromise the things that I want? Maybe I don't want no husband then. Oh,
Right, right. That part, right? No, you're absolutely right. And we think we want things, and then when we get them, we be out here hollering, "Oh my God!" You know. So,
like we're
but
praying
it's
this.
right, right. Establishing the habits is what then
Mhm.
led me to actually start putting the ideology of what I wanted into execution, into practice, and that started with me getting up early. I said, where can you create space for yourself so that you can start implementing these things that you say you want, the prayer life, the meditation, the ability to go deeper in your word, the journaling, where are you going to carve out space to implement these things that you said that you want?
Mhm, mhm. I love it. I love it. I love it. I know journaling has been harder for me. So I'm
Mm,
going to share a tip that I learned that has helped me tremendously. A gratitude journal. Every night before
yes,
I go to sleep, I write down 3 or 4 things I'm thankful for.
absolutely.
And the beauty of it is it allows me to go sleep in a peaceful,
Mhm.
happy, authentic, joyful way,
Yep,
and it also forces me to focus on the things that went good and not the things that go bad.
that's
Because
right.
the way humans are designed, we love to focus on the bad.
Always, always. The earth would be on fire if it was
Yes,
up like every day.
yes,
If you
everywhere. I remember as a child, I would come home all upset. Well, Kristen, why you upset? I got a bad grade on the test. What grade you get? I got a 98. I got 2% wrong. Girl, if you don't sit down.
right. What about the 98% that you got right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to the teacher about those 2 questions I got wrong. Girl, if you don't sit down.
Okay, if that don't sound like my son. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but it's true. It is the way that we are wired as humans. I know I read somewhere, you actually have twice as many negative thoughts as you do positive. And so it's also about reworking your brain, your mindset. One of
Yes.
the things that I do is I keep myself surrounded
Yes.
by positivity. I keep myself like intentionally, not just happenstance. I have a book that is on my desk that has nothing but inspirational and motivational quotes in it. And it's on specifically intentionally on my desk so that when I feel myself, dipping a little bit in, I call it my ethos. When I feel myself dipping in my ethos, I'm like, okay, girl, go read, hear the book. And it prompts me exactly, and looking at prompts
Mhm.
me, "Okay, let me just read some of the inspirational quotes real quick." I also have, podcasts that I listen to, religiously. I will listen to it when I'm cooking, or I'll listen to it when I'm in the
Yes.
car, but again, that's on purpose so that I'm constantly feeding my mind the
Yes.
things that I know that I need to hear and the things that will continue to elevate me, you
Yes,
know?
yes. I think you just talked about something so valuable, is we have so much control. We have
There you
so
go.
much
That's
control.
right.
If you wanna have a positive experience, if you want to have these things, control it. Make sure that's what you're
That's
listening
right.
to.
That's
When you're
right. That's
when you're in
right.
your car, listening to the right things,
That's right.
making sure you are feeding yourself with as much positivity as possible.
Yes. A business coach of mine, that I used to work with, she said a very simple phrase to me, one day that I carry with me, I will carry with me forever, because even though it's so simplistic, it shifted the way that I look at every single situation. And
Mhm,
so now, to your point, I have so much more control
mhm,
over, and when I feel myself trying to, um be the victim, then I shift that to take back control. But the phrase that she shared with me was, "You get to decide.
mhm.
You get to decide." She said, "Janelle, in every single moment, you
Yes,
get to decide."
yes,
And
yes,
I have carried that with me from, ever since then, because it's true. Yes, there might be certain situations where, no, you don't get, it's out of your control, something like death, things like that. But in most instances, in most situations,
mhm,
you get to decide how you are going to
yes,
receive
yes.
whatever has
Yes,
happened.
yes. You get to control your thoughts and your reactions.
That's right.
They're yours. You
Yep.
can't control what other people do to you. You can't control what's happening in life, but you control your thoughts and your reactions.
That's right.
Either something can push you down, or something can pick you up, or
That's
something
right.
can be neutral. You decide what position it has. And
That's right.
I know you were talking about your journey to kind of love yourself and find yourself again. A peace of mind with this non-toxic product piece
Hmm.
is Black and Green focuses on non-toxic products, but also removing toxicity, period.
Yes. Yes.
Removing toxic thoughts,
That's
removing
right.
toxic habits,
That's
removing
right.
toxic people. If there was someone in my life that didn't feel good to be around them, I don't need to be around them anymore.
That's right.
I
That's right.
control who's in my space.
Yes,
I
and being
control.
okay with that, being okay with that, because it doesn't mean that you're a mean person,
Absolutely.
but you are understanding that that interaction didn't feel good, and so why would you wanna keep doing something that doesn't feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you do wanna keep doing something that don't feel good, then we have to go to a therapist and work that out.
That
What
part.
is
There's something deeper, there's an
Now,
underlying
what
issue, and
can
we need
be
to
if
go and
life
yes.
is the discomfort? And
Mhm.
so, the power of therapy, go to therapy to work
Yeah.
through the childhood trauma. Because I'm telling
Yeah,
you, the childhood Kristen shows up sometimes in places like, "What is happening here?" "Oh,
absolutely.
child Kristen is
Absolutely.
happening here."
Yes, absolutely. We all do. We all kind of revert sometimes back to our default, what I call our default, and the
Yep.
default is the low vibrancy, the low undercurrent,
Mhm.
right?
We
But you can't stay there. And
cannot.
you have to come out of that, and I think reminding yourself you get to decide you're in control of that, that brings you back to a place of center.
Yes, yes, yes. Ooh, just remind ourselves that we have so much power.
That's right.
We have so much control. We are so powerful.
So powerful.
We're so powerful. We can choose what products we use. We can choose what we
Yes.
eat. We can choose what we say.
That's
You
right.
can control what you think.
That's right.
You have so much power.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. This was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot wait to do your wine tasting. I'm going to plan
Yes.
an event that you're going to come to your wine tasting at. I haven't told you the dates yet, but I'm going to send you an email soon.
Right. That's right. That's right. No, I'm excited for it too. And, again, just really continuing to share the message with people about how, wine is evolving, how it is so much more expansive than, just a beverage. There's so many components of how you can enjoy it,
Right.
and allow it to be something that, again, brings you together with other people.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you again.
Thank you for having me.